Spoiler alert for the most recent episode of Strange New Worlds. This was the season finale. It starts with him having dinner with Captain Battelle, and then he goes into a briefing where he encounters one of the cadets as a child, since the accident is not for about 7 years. He returns to his quarters, upset by having met one of the children. And while in his quarters, he's visited by an older version of himself. He's in the process of drafting letters to these children, basically to warn them of the future. And his older self is basically saying, hey, I know you think that you're doing the right thing, but this action will change the future for the worse. And instead of specifically telling him what happens, he shows him what happens. When he sends him to the future by touching the time crystal from Borath, he finds himself in the middle of a conflict, which he quickly learns is with the Romulans. And the reason that this future is so grave is that even though he has attempted currently to avoid a disaster that he thinks is bad at the time, it ultimately leads to the death of one of his most trusted companions and appreciated and respected crew members. Okay, so let's get into it though. If I were delusional, I would assume that the Star Trek powers that be have seen my complaints over the last few weeks of the recycled storylines, and they were like, oh, you don't like us hinting at the recycled storyline? Hold my beer. We're just going to recreate the entire episode. Do I think it's well done? That's not even the question. It's beautiful. And I love that they were giving him the Kirk lighting. It was just so dramatic and stunning that they didn't even try. I've mentioned that I've been specifically trying to avoid the trailers because I think they give away too much. And I'm happy I avoided this one, because if I would have seen them mention Outpost 4 in the trailer, like Uhura says, then I would have known a week ago what episode this was. And even worse, when they flash to him in the future and it shows him standing there performing the wedding, I knew what episode it was. They didn't even change the speech he was giving to the kids getting married. Just say it with your chest, Star Trek. Chris needs to be injured so that Jim becomes captain of the Enterprise. The relationship they've been building since Discovery between him and Spock is strong, but just say that we know Jim needs to be in a chair.